Yeah, I was saying that a lot of guys I was coming across, they were just looking to kill time, like
Yeah.
maybe they lost their job or maybe their restaurant had to close, like they just, or maybe they just couldn't do other things that they normally could do
Yeah.
if they weren't sheltering in place. So it was it was a way to occupy all the spare time that they suddenly had.
Yeah. Everybody was going through a lot of shit, pretty much.
Yeah. I remember I talked to one guy. He lost his restaurant. He just closed his restaurant because you know you couldn't go hang out at restaurants or bars, right? Like you normally could. And so like the whole conversation was about like how it felt for him, and I don't take away that it's healthy to talk about it, but
Yeah.
it's definitely not what I was online to find.
Right.
It's someone that wants to go dive deep into a conversation like that, like
Yeah.
at the outset before you even know if you really connect with the person.
Right. Right. What did you hate most about online dating?
It just during the pandemic
Yeah.
or overall during the pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic.
You know, for me, it was really frustrating that people I was coming across were a lot of them were really um, not careful, not thoughtful
Yeah.
about exposure
Right.
to COVID, right? So like right away people wanted to meet because they thought they were healthy and took care of themselves, and even though that doesn't line up with what scientists are
Right.
saying,
Right. They just kind of like overlooked that.
Yeah, or they were just in their own bubble with online dating. They didn't think it applied there somehow.
Yeah.
So that ended up being actually a criteria, meaning like if this person is this reckless with their health and other people's in the communities, because if they're meeting with people, then they're in turn spreading it around. Like this is not someone I would match with.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, did you encounter this with several people, or what did you find interesting about the different people that you talked to? Like just developing a friendship. Did you see something that was in common with them, or was like everybody different in their own way um, during the pandemic?
Like you're asking like if I was able to somewhat connect with some people.
Yes.
Okay. To be honest, not really. Not really. There were just a lot of swipe lefts during the pandemic, more than the norm.
Right.
Even.
Yeah.
And even that can be pretty bad.
Yeah.
I ended up dating somebody, and that lasted a couple months, and it ended for reasons that weren't unique to the pandemic or weren't tied to what was going on with the health crisis at all. The pandemic was not an exciting time in the world of dating. I think it was an exercise in it felt like a test for like self-love and
oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, and whether you want to cut corners on what you really want. Like are you looking to entertain yourself too?
Right.
Because then go ahead, because there are people that want that too. But if you were on here to really find your person, then I don't think it was a good environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have any like red flags? Like what was your red flags?
Besides, being like somebody who's, trying to go out a lot. I talked to somebody who was super ready and super excited to go to this massive Halloween party, and it was before we even had vaccines. So that's things like that are red flags.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that comes to mind, besides just being on there to find something to do.
Yeah. Did you ever find that someone was like really needy,
Mm.
that kind of like wanted to latch onto you and suck all the energy out of you?
You ask such good questions.
Yeah. Because people are different, you have all these different personalities, and one thing that we do know during the pandemic is a lot of people got exposed, and you got to really see people for who they really was, you know, because everything just like shut down and everybody had to sit still for a second. And so sitting still, like even myself, um, me and Dale, we was stuck in the house. There was nowhere to go. Everything was closed. And that was our time that we like really, really got to connect with each other and really got to see each other because like, I'm going to work. There's always, breaks between us during the day, as life goes on. But at that particular time, we were like sheltered in place and we spent a lot of time with each other. And in relationships, it either made you or broke you, and there was just so much stuff going on with people in relationships. It was unbelievable. A lot of people got divorced, a lot of people broke up. If there was a lot of abuse happening, I mean, it was just so many different things happening because people did not realize that they didn't like each other until they were stuck with each other all day. You know what I mean? So, like I said, that really exposed a lot of people, and it also caused a lot of single people to really expose themselves for who they really are. So, you know, um, so that's my
Yeah,
reason for asking.
I mean, it's a big question. With,
Yeah.
Like, I could go on and on.
Let's go. Let's go.
So, I mean, even before and after, if we're in an after mode, and I don't know that we officially are. Things are getting better, but probably we're not officially out of the pandemic. But people have what's called attachment issues.
Yeah.
And so it relates to your upbringing and whether your needs were met as a child. And then if you don't recognize it and deal with it, it shows up in your relationships, including your friendships, not just romantic partnerships and dating. And maybe the pandemic made it worse for me. I'm not really sure because I didn't know them before the pandemic or after, but I did date some people like within the recent couple years who needed a lot of assurances, like saying you're committed and showing you're committed was not enough.
Yeah.
And the more you tried to accommodate them, the more they would need. It was like sort of a black hole.
Yeah.
What you put in kind of went into a black hole. And yeah, it's an issue of, I don't know if it's mental health officially, but definitely your awareness of one's awareness of the internal conversations they have about whether they're worthy of love and what somebody ought to do to prove to them that they're worthy, and they hadn't done the work. And I guess to your point, probably it does show up more during the pandemic when everyone's in crisis and they can't hide it, and because their emotional energy is being consumed not just by their own interpersonal issues and childhood trauma, but it's being consumed with trying to deal and just be healthy. And so, yeah, if somebody has unhealthy attachment issues, it's going to rear its ugly head during difficult times.
Oh,
especially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you see? Did you see a difference between then and now?
Dating?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes, but I don't know. I think it's more situational, not relating to the pandemic?
Okay.
Hard
Yeah.
to say. Hard to say.
Yeah.
Well, I will say though that I take that back. Online, things have shifted, and there's not the past problems of people being during the pandemic of people trying to just kill time, and I'm not seeing as much carelessness about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a different world, right? Because what was careless before is not careless
Right.
now.
Yeah.
Because we have vaccines, and
Right.
things are the COVID is not resulting in as intensive illness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's slight improvement, but the online dating is still what it is.
Yes, it's still what it is. I remember I found out about online dating probably about, it had to be about 24 years ago. 24 years
Gosh, has
ago.
it been that long since online dating started?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure when it started, because at the time I was in a relationship.
Okay.
And I was actually married at the time. I remember washing clothes one day and finding a phone number in my husband's pants pocket. And I was like, whose number is this? And it had a name on there. So I held on to the number, and I remember going to one of my girlfriend's house that evening. He was going to work, and so he came home and I was gone. So I remember calling the number while I was at my girlfriend's house, and it was a lady that answered the phone. So when she answered the phone, I introduced myself and let her know who I was, and I asked her, did she know him, because I found her phone number in his pocket. And she was like, no, I don't know who you're talking about. So come to find out, he told her his name was something else. And so I was like, well, I started just, describing little things, we start comparing notes, and she was like, oh, are you talking about such and such? I can't remember the name. He told her he was, but he pretty much made up a whole story about who he was, which was someone else, where he worked, where he lived, how his house looked, like, just, it was so crazy. And so I was like, no, that's not him. This is who he is. And she was like, oh, well, I'm so sorry. She said, I didn't know that he was married. She was like, I don't do that. And if I had known that he was married, I would never talk to him. She said, I've never got a chance to meet him in person, but we were supposed to meet this weekend at a restaurant downtown. And she was like, and if you want to, we don't have to say anything. You can meet us there.
Oh my goodness.
And me being the woman who I am, I think this was probably like on a Tuesday. I could not sit in no house with this man knowing that this was going on and wait till the weekend to do that. I couldn't do it. So she says, all of a sudden we're in the conversation, and she says, oh, this is him calling me right now. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. She said, I'm not going to answer. She said, she's like, do you want me to call him back with you on the three-way? I said, yeah, I would love that. So,
oh my goodness,
she didn't answer, and so she calls him back, and she says, hey, what's going on? And he said, nothing. She said, oh, I missed your call. She said, what's up? How's your day, or whatever? And he's talking with this low, sexy voice. Oh, I'm not doing nothing. Just got home from work, and just kicking back, watching TV. That's it. How you doing? She was like, oh, I'm doing fine. I'm not doing too much. Just pretty much the same thing. He says, what you got on?
Oh my goodness.
So at that point, I said, what do you mean? What does she have on? Why do you want to know what she have on? And the phone says, click.
Ooh.
So at that point, she was like, okay, well, now he's busted. And I won't be meeting him this weekend, so you never have to worry because at this point, I'm going to block him, and I'm glad that you called me because I didn't want to, get involved in an entanglement that I knew nothing about. So, I thanked her for letting me know, and I went home and we had this big powwow, because I told him off and let him have it. Like, what are you doing? And he was just pretty much busted and didn't know what to do and what to say. He apologized and, I'm not going to do it anymore and this and that. And then probably about a month later, here we go again. Mm-hmm. We was laying in the bed and his phone just kept ringing, 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 ringing. And so I picked it up and answered it. Hello? Hello, can I speak to such and such? I was like, Master's calling. Who is this? I said, this is his wife. She says, well, his wife, I don't believe that. Let me speak to him. I said, who are you? I think she said her name it was like a car, like a Mercedes or something. And I said, well, listen, I said, you don't need to, you need to lose this number. I said, because he's married, you don't need to call this number anymore. He needs to tell me that. I said, okay, well, hold on a second. I said, excuse me. I says, Mercedes is on the phone. You need to get up and handle your business. So he got up and he got on the phone and he told her, I'm married and don't call this number again. I shouldn't have done what I shouldn't have got myself into this, but don't call the number again. I'm married. I have a wife. So you can hear her in the background. She's cussing him out. Yeah. So he finally just hung the phone up. And at that point, mentally, I was like, you know what? I'm not getting ready to put up with you with this. And
you already gave him a chance.
Yeah, I gave you a chance, and here you go again. Yeah. And all the lies and all the drama and all that, and at that point I was like, you know what, I'm not getting ready to keep dealing with this stuff over and over again. And that's when I ended up separating from him. I was like, I'm not getting ready to deal with this. I'm too good to you to be dealing with this. And then you going out wanting to meet women and doing all of this. What's the problem? So whatever it was his problem. And I let him have that. And then we ended up, like I said, separating and at some point, I was done. You know what I mean? There was a lot of growth and maturity that he needed to work on, along with that. And we was young at the time. And so I just pretty much felt like, he's still growing. I'm still growing. We wasn't already seeing eye to eye on some other things, and I was just, tired. I was tired and I just didn't feel like dealing with it anymore. So being young and going through the things that I went through, I just left it alone and moved on. But, we had our good times and our bad times and things happen. And as I got older, I remarried and I learned to fight for each other and not with each other. But at the same time, communication and understanding is a big factor in a relationship. So I know how it can be when you're dating and online dating and just going through different things, because I had to jump over a lot of frogs before I got to Prince Charming. So that leads me to ask you, what was one of your weirdest moments?
Weirdest?
Yeah, weirdest or funniest.
Oh,
do you have one of
those? Oh gosh, I'm gonna need a minute for that one, because I've been online like on and off for many years. But first, I want to say thanks for sharing. I actually have known you for years, and I didn't know your story.
Yeah.
Actually, wondered, but was not sure if you wanted to talk about what happened with your first marriage. So I just didn't. There's plenty of other fun stuff to talk about, or interesting and thoughtful things to ask you about and learn from. So yeah, you went through a lot.
Yeah.
You're amazing to come out.
Yeah, well, thank you. I just feel like, I just feel like, especially women, we don't talk about a lot of things. And so we see other women and they look a certain type of way to us, and we portray them as how we see them. But we all have a story, and we all go through things and different situations. And by us not talking about things that we've encountered in our lives and experiences and situations and different things, we don't know, because a lot of us don't look like what we've been through. So I think that women empowerment is very important, especially when it comes to dating and different things like that, because it's good to compare notes. It's good to learn from each other. It's good to know that you are not alone and that someone else went through something either similar or different, as far as something that you can learn from. And I think that when women get into a place where we cannot be embarrassed about life and things that we go through, and by understanding that we all have something that we've been through and experience, then we can just learn so much more. And that's where women empowerment come from, learning from each other, experiences and sharing, and just trying to do better in the future, or how to in a way where it teaches us how to deal with things differently. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty much an open book, because I've been through a lot of things in life, and I feel like if my story, whatever the situation is, can help somebody, that makes me feel good. You know what I mean? Because if I dealt with it, I know somebody else is either going to deal with it or have dealt with something similar. So I don't look at anything as embarrassing, and I just look at everything as as something that can help others, and I'm all about love.
No, that's great, especially because what you shared is 3 other friends came to mind who went through similar experiences of their partner having a profile and connecting with people online, despite being in a committed relationship and a couple instances being married. So
yeah,
like people like them don't have to think that it's them, because
right.
it's popping up for other
it happens.
amazing women too.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. It happens.
Yeah. All right. For my weird story, I'm gonna be a little less serious.
Okay. Yeah.
Because,
just open up. Break the ice. Pow.
Yeah. No. So this experience taught me just how you can't get a real understanding or sense of somebody until really you're in person and you spend some time together.
Yeah.
So that this happened pretty early in my online dating career. I met up with somebody, we messaged a couple times, and it seemed like we had enough in common, and I went and met up with him at some cafe. I can't believe
It's okay.
No, it's lighter though. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, somebody betrayed me. I mean, all these things happen. But you said weird, so I'm just gonna go with weird.
Yes.
So we're sitting there talking, having the normal, typical conversation you have when you meet someone for the first time, and he had these mannerisms and a way of talking that made me go somewhere else read his profile while my body is in the cafe with him, right?
Yeah.
Talking, but I went somewhere to like try and remember, did I get confused about who I agreed to meet with? And I'm like, no, the picture matches, and the description he's taught in his profile matches his interest, because it did not feel, the energy did not feel like he was interested in women.
Really?
To the point that it was so confusing for me, because I almost felt like, did you make a mistake choosing to spend this choosing to meet up with me? It was very confusing.
Wow.
Yeah. And, life is complicated.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't end up seeing him again. I just kind of landed in this conclusion that, maybe I'm wrong, first of all, right? Like, maybe I'm picking up things that aren't actually true. Maybe he's actually feels some chemistry towards me and I'm just wrong. But maybe if I'm right, maybe he is just kind of not there yet, like in terms of understanding this about himself. But I can't ignore my gut feeling.
Yeah.
And my gut was telling me like he was going through the motions, and he wasn't really attracted to me. It just didn't feel like.
So give me an example. Like, just give me an example.
No, just a way of talking, and then a way of just some mannerisms, and yeah.
You give me okay. Let me give you an example.
Hands, and just a way, a softness about the way he was talking, and like in combination, right? Because I'm not after sort of this toxic masculinity, super macho person. It's sort of hard to put my finger on,
right,
like what I was picking up on, but these sorts of things.
So you felt something.
Yeah, I felt that he wasn't attracted to women, and that's not, it was before the age of sort of video chats.
Yeah.
But I think I might have been able to pick it up by phone. I'm not sure, but probably by video chat, if that were more available or more popular, or the norm, then I could have picked it up.
Yeah, more of a like in-person meeting. Yeah. So let me tell you a story where I picked something up, but I missed in the beginning. So, well, I really didn't know. So years ago, I met this guy, and I met him at a sports bar, and I've never seen him again. His name happened to be Mario. Nobody knows who Mario is. Okay. So I would talk to him on the phone. He would call me all the time, and we would be in the middle of a conversation, and he would say, "Let me call you back." And so when I would talk to him again, I would ask him, "Why do you always like cut the conversation off and say, 'Let me call you back'?" And he would make up some excuse, but he would call me all the time. We went out probably we went out several times, probably about 3 or 4 times. Okay. So, we would talk on the phone a lot once again. And I remember one day, he called me at night, and it was probably like 9:30 at night. I was in the bed, and I would always think like, why did he always cut me off? So I started asking him, like, "Are you in a relationship? Are you with someone?" And he would be like, "No, I'm not in a relationship. I live by myself. I'm divorced. I just go to work every day, And he used to always try to express, that he wanted to start a relationship with me and all this good stuff. So anyway, Mario calls me one night. It was about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. I'm in the bed. So we're on the phone for about 20 minutes. And apparently he was somewhere waiting for someone to come. So all of a sudden, we're talking, it's quiet, and we're in a good conversation. And I hear him say, he said, hold on a second. I'm like, why does he always, it was starting to irritate me,
Here
right?
we go again.
So he get back on the phone, I said, what did you just do? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, cause he would just cut me off in the middle of a conversation, like, it was just like sudden, you know? And he was like, oh, nothing. I had to go use the restroom or something. But I felt like he was lying about it because of the way he just cut me off. You know, but he could have said, let me go use the restroom real quick. Hold on a second. Right. You know what I mean? So anyway, so we're on the phone, and all of a sudden I hear him moving around, and all of a sudden I hear somebody say, Mario, what you doing, Mario? And I said, who was that? It was a man. Okay. It was a man.
Wow.
So Mario was dating a man and trying to date me and have the best of both worlds.
Wow. So he fessed up in that moment when he said.
So he said, so I was like, hello. And he was like, Mario, the guy in the background. And apparently Mario was the man in the relationship, apparently, because it was very clear that the guy that was calling, his name was very feminine. So I said, who is that? Who is that? Let me call you back. And hung the phone up in my face. I didn't hear from Mario again until the next day. And when he called me back, he acted like nothing ever happened. Like he just wanted to just start a whole new conversation over again. And so at that point, I was like, who was that in the background? Oh, that wasn't nobody. I said, oh, you know what? I'm not getting ready to do this with you. And I just thought that was just so crazy. Like, that was so weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just so glad that I did not go further than I did. You know what I mean? Because you just never know. So that was a weird moment.
Funny.
That was a weird, crazy moment for me, you know, and it just made me just look at everything, you know what I mean? And just, you know, just make sure my eyes is open, my ears is open, and a lot of questions is being asked, and I'm just really getting to know who I'm engaging with, you know what I'm saying, moving forward, you know, and so I learned a lot from that, and like they say, experience is your best teacher. The thing is learning from it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my that was a weird moment for me. Very weird. Yeah. So what do you what do you want out of a relationship?